Finding foods that taste great, are healthy, and keep you at your ideal weight, or even help you lose weight. It doesn't have to be stressful. Tips from the mom nutritionist ahead on the podcast. I'm Natalie Tysdal, a journalist who decided enough is enough. I left a career that looked glamorous to do what I was scared of doing, going out on my own. I'm a married working mom of 3. On this podcast, we're going to talk about issues that really matter. Why am I not sleeping? What's up with that diet everyone's talking about? Are my kids falling behind? How do I leave that job and start over? Welcome to the Natalie Tysdal podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, everyone. It's Natalie. How are you? It has been a very busy season of life for me. I'm not complaining. I've been on the road a lot, and our middle child is graduating from high school. I can't believe how fast time has flown by between teaching high school, keeping up with the podcast, running my small business. Staying healthy is something I try really hard to do for me and for my family. But as you know, it's just not easy. It doesn't come very easily, at least to me. And I think for all of you, as far as what I hear back from you, but it doesn't need to be stressful. In fact, some simple changes and routines can help you with your diet and your overall lifestyle. Today, I'm talking to mom nutritionist Ayat Sleymann. She's a registered dietitian specializing in helping moms lose weight in a healthy way without all the dieting and without the restrictions. I find this particularly important as I raise young women. I want them to know that their habits, their everyday habits, that's what's important, not the way they look. Ayat has a special way of making things fun, and she has so many great ideas. I can't wait for you to meet her as we get started with this week's podcast. And be sure you hit subscribe and visit the show notes of the podcast for a link to my newsletter and for more on the topics we discussed today. Let's get started. Ayat, thank you for joining me today. This is a topic I get a lot of requests for because, especially as moms, we tend to put ourselves last and we want to get in shape. We want to lose weight, but yet it's really hard to do.
Right. And thank you so much for having me. And I totally get that.
Okay. So this is what you specialize in. Tell us a little bit more about you. You're a nutritionist. I know you work with a lot of moms. You're big online. On TikTok and Instagram. I know you, this is what you do day in and day out.
Yes, thank you. So I'm a registered dietitian. I specialize in helping moms lose weight in a healthy way without the dieting, without the restriction, because as moms, we also want to be teaching our kids to not get into that diet cycle. And the best way to do that is to really prioritize what we're eating without cutting out any foods or food groups.
So I find that so much of losing weight in particular is a mind game. I mean, I swear the more I tell myself I can't have the chocolate, the more my body is just starving for it. So how much of what you teach and what you help people with is the mental side of dieting? I hate that word, dieting, by the way.
Yeah. So honestly, mindset is one of the biggest struggles because everyone knows how to eat. I mean, how to eat to lose weight. Yes, eat healthy, right? Eat more fruits, eat more veggies. Sure, get your exercise in. But the mindset piece of it, that's what's really difficult because a lot of people grow up in a diet household, right? Where they're seeing their moms look at the mirror. Maybe, the mom is complaining about her not fitting into her jeans or not wanting to be in pictures or bathing suits or stuff like that. So it really gets ingrained in our minds as we're growing up. Also magazines, let's not forget magazines that we're seeing, front cover pictures of beautiful women in bathing suits, which are of course photoshopped, right? But we didn't know that growing up. Photoshop images, and it's just all around us and advertisements on TV everywhere. So we grow up thinking, I should be this way and this is what I need to eat. So it really becomes a mindset issue as we grow up. And a lot of that, the mindset piece is unlearning a lot of the things we've learned. And that is the hardest piece because a lot of us are unaware of these subconscious thoughts.
Yeah.
So really getting into that, that's really the biggest struggle. And again, once we're kind of through that, it becomes more of a, how can we shift our eating to align with our health goals, with our weight loss goals? So I would say mindset is 70 to 90% of the struggle.
Since starting my own business, I have discovered something I never knew I would enjoy so much. What is it? Making my own graphics. Maybe you've seen my YouTube cover templates, Instagram quotes, and carousels, also Facebook infographics. Can I tell you how much fun I'm having and how easy it is to make these on Canva? I even do it on my phone. It's that easy. If you're looking for a simple way to make graphics for social media, maybe school, I'm a teacher as well, so I use it for that, or even for work, you're going to love Canva. There is a free version of the program, but the pro version, so worth it. It's $119, and you can also pay monthly. I share my designs with my team at school and at home, where we collaborate on designs. And I'm going to give you 45 days free of Canva Pro if you go to my website, natalietysdal.com/favorites. Just click on Canva once you get there. I may get a small commission if you purchase through this link, but that's just to keep my website and my podcast going. So thank you. Once again, natalietysdal.com/favorites and click on Canva. One thing that I've enjoyed doing as I've tried to get healthy instead of diet is to think of, and I think you'll agree with this, but I want to hear your take on it, is to think of my food as like such a blessing and so beautiful. I'm like, I can have this like really yummy, beautiful salad. And oh, this is so versus, oh, I have to have a salad. Like it's so colorful and it's so tasty. And it's like, like I build this up in my mind because it really is like, it's from the earth. Like do you hear where I'm going with this? Like I've told myself that and
Totally.
with all of my food.
Yes, exactly. And honestly, if we take some time to really taste our food, right? Mm-hmm. To really taste and be mindful of the food we're eating, we're going to find that a lot of these foods that we restrict aren't really as good as we imagine them to be, just because we are mindlessly eating them, because we're restricting them. Yeah. All we're thinking about is eating them because we know that they're bad for us versus eating them for enjoyment. Of course, there are situations, like ice cream is delicious, right? Like there are foods like brownies. I love brownies and I will have a whole thing of them. Like there are some foods are really, really good, but others things that we restrict, especially like as moms, sometimes have you ever found yourself kind of like grabbing goldfish or whatever our kids kind of left, whatever our kids love? Yeah. I'm like, why did I even eat this? Like, it's not even good. And it's not as good as I remember it to be as a young child, but because it's there, because we know that it's quote unquote unhealthy for us, it's just become really fixated in our minds to grab it, eat it because it's bad for us. It's really, like you said, like some mindset piece to it versus, actual enjoyment. And when you said like the salads, you can make them really delicious. I know that there are some sad salads out there that they're not as tasty, but really adding into our meals is going to help us kind of get through that. So I think I went on tangent, but what was your
That's
question?
Great. No. And that's what I'm thinking. Like when I envision a salad, it's not just like iceberg lettuce and carrots. Like I'm thinking I want arugula and I'm going to chop up some beautiful strawberries. And then I'm going to use some olive oil and balsamic with some nut. And I mean, I build it up in my mind of like this really beautiful thing, but let's get into some specifics. Okay. So we talked about mindset and how important that is to unlearn some of these things. But let's talk about not restricting and some of your tactics, because I know you give tips every day. You give so many great tips on doing this effectively and what types of things you recommend for people. Give me some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the biggest struggles and one of the biggest mistakes I see with weight loss is people will restrict. They will take away from their meals. They will eat way less food, right? You might skip meals. You might skip a whole day of eating just to kind of balance out your overeating over the weekend, right? There's just so much restriction and taking away. So the way to really shift that is to start looking at ways to add in nutrition. You have to look at it as, where can I add in more nutrition to give me more satisfaction, to give me more nourishment for my body? And once we do that, it also plays a role in hormones. Our hormones stabilize and we're not so hungry later on in the day.
Yeah.
Our blood sugar levels stabilize as well, which again leads to less hunger, less cravings. So how can we add into our meals and eat enough throughout the day? That's another thing with women. They tend to not eat enough food, which kind of throws us off balance. And then we're craving late night snacks and all the things. So where can we add in nutrition? So every single meal, this is what I like to tell my clients: fiber, protein, and healthy fats. Where is my fiber? Where is my healthy fats? And where is my protein? Really focusing in on balancing our meals. It's going to help our blood sugar levels, our hormones. Is going to give us the energy and the nourishment our bodies need so they can function as they're meant to. Once you're taking away foods, it's going to throw everything out of whack, our body out of whack, our mind out of whack.
Yeah.
And then that's when we start reaching for the less nourishing foods.
That's right.
So that's why, I like to call it addition nutrition. And I know it's not a breakthrough concept, but, I think a lot of us struggle with adding in versus taking out. We're just taught to take out,
Yeah.
when really, once you add in, you're eating more food, you're eating more of the foods that our body needs to function properly. And then that way, everything kind of starts balancing itself out.
Yeah. And you find yourself actually pretty fulfilled where you're not reaching for that goldfish or snack, or like for me, it's like, I just am starving, just anything right now. So give me some examples of adding into. So for me, that's if I'm carrying with me a bag of baby carrots, I'm just going to eat those. I'm going to feel pretty good. For me, it's all about preparation. As long as I have it and I take it with me, because it's when I'm out and I'm starving that I make bad choices. So give me some more examples of things we can add in.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that prepping is the biggest thing to help yourself, like prepping. And I know it feels tedious and I know it feels hard and I know nobody feels like doing it, but that is going to make or break a lot of our progress. If you take, and it honestly does not need to take that long. A lot of foods are now more, previously chopped for us. They're prepped for us. We just gotta become aware of those foods that they're out there. We just gotta grab them and keep them on hand. Make a grocery list ahead of time, go to the grocery store and keep them on hand, because that's, prepping it is going to, again, you're either going to go to a fast food restaurant if you're not prepped, or you're just going to reach for those carrots, which another example is to add hummus with it, or guacamole or peanut butter, just kind of add in. So this is where the addition nutrition comes in. Okay, we have carrots. Carrots are a veggie, they're a fiber. So where can I add in protein and where can I add in fat to give me more satisfaction, to make sure that I'm actually eating a meal that's going to satisfy me until the next meal?
Do you think it's important to have 3 meals a day? I mean, I hear so much more now about intermittent fasting. So don't eat breakfast and wait until lunch. And, I know a lot of these are fads, but I know they're successful for people are successful with it. What's your take on that in the 3 good meals with all 3 of those elements you're mentioning?
Yeah. So when it comes to those, so this is very controversial. So some people are, love fasting and other people don't. I am in the boat that does not love to fast, just because, especially for women, we are throwing our bodies out of whack, our hormones. We have different hormones that need different, we need to fuel our bodies. Otherwise, our hormones out of whack, we may become infertile. There's just so much that can go into that. And also it leads to an unhealthy relationship with food, with our bodies. So when we're skipping meals, we're telling ourselves that we are not, you're kind of punishing yourself in a way, mindset wise, if you think about it. Why am I not having breakfast? What is the point? Because food is going to make me gain weight. So that's why people tend to skip meals. So it just feeds into that unhealthy way of thinking about food and our bodies. So I like to, have your 3 meals, have a snack in there as well. So maybe 3 meals and a snack, but making sure there's actually enough food on your plate and in your day, because otherwise you're going to be hungry. Once you're hungry, that leads to overeating later in the day. And then you feel guilty for overeating. Then the next day it's a cycle. You get stuck in this cycle of overeating, undereating, undereating. And it's really hard to break out of that. So I am in the camp of eat your meals. Even if you overeat the day before, eat a good breakfast, because once you're eating a good breakfast and a good lunch, you're less likely to overeat later on in the day. And also when we overeat, you really have to start looking at yourself, like, why am I overeating? Am I not eating enough? Am I not balancing my meals? What is leading me to overeat later on in the day? Am I skipping meals because I'm just so busy with all these other things? I'm so overwhelmed with, mom life and dropping kids off and picking them up and sick kids.
Which we
and
all tend to be. That's, yeah, that's
100%.
life. Yeah.
100%. So that's why we need to prioritize our health and ourselves as moms so we can show up in the best way possible for our kids. Otherwise, you're cranky, you're moody, you don't feel like doing anything, you don't feel like playing with your kids. It just all feeds into each other. So really the best thing is to eat your meals, make sure you're eating enough food and balancing our meals to make sure all of our hormones are in a happy, stabilized position.
Yeah. We have a whiteboard in our kitchen, like for planning. It's a calendar, and I've got one little section, and we don't do it every week, but the most successful my family has ever been with 3 kids, so 5 of us in the family, is when we plan on the weekend for the week ahead. Because otherwise, every mom knows what I'm talking about. It gets to be like, pick up at school time, come home. Oh, what am I going to make for dinner? And then you're like looking through the fridge. What do we have? And it's frozen and it's quick. But if on the weekend we say we're going to have these meals, and I usually let each kid pick a meal so they feel like they're part of it. And then they have to help with that meal too, but let them pick. And then we all know on Monday, we're going to make hamburgers. And on Tuesday, we're making pasta, and everybody knows what to expect. And when you say prepping, like, it's really that easy, just making that plan. And then, sometimes you change the plan, but just having that plan sets you up for success versus scrambling and then not being healthy. Are you looking for ways to stay energized, healthy, and help your family stay healthy? I've started taking supplements from Seeking Health, and it has changed the game for me. I no longer worry that my family is getting enough of the vitamins we need, and I know the quality of what we're taking is top-notch. I take an immunity support supplement, magnesium, and several others, including electrolytes, to stay hydrated. So many people ask me about these supplements that I've made it really easy for you to find right on my website, natalietysdal.com/favorites. Also, bonus, I have a coupon code to help you save 10% on your order. You will find that coupon code on the website as well. Go to natalietysdal.com/favorites. Click on Seeking Health. I may earn a small commission if you purchase there, but that's just to help my small business grow, the website and the podcast, to keep this news and good interviews coming your way. Again, natalietysdal.com/favorites and click on Seeking Health.
Yeah. And scrambling, I mean, I've done it before where I might stop at McDonald's and just get them something because I know I'm not prepped for it. Right.
Yeah.
And it just, and it's okay every once. It's totally fine. Like, we're not demonizing any foods or anything like that, but it also doesn't get us in this habit of, it is honestly all about habit building. So, maybe if you don't want to do it on the weekend. So I know a lot of my clients don't like to do anything on the weekend like that. So maybe like a Thursday night where you're sitting down, you grab your, whiteboard, whatever it is, what is dinner, right? For me, for our family, dinner is when we all eat together. I know that for me, like, I like to have smoothies in the morning. So I really like to simplify as much as I can. And that may or may not work for you, but really just pick half an hour once a week to sit down and write it down. And maybe Friday go grocery shopping instead of the weekend, or like the next Monday, just having it written down. You don't even have to cook it ahead of time. Just,
just have the plan. Yeah.
Have the plan. Yeah.
Will you take me to the grocery store with you?
Yes.
So give me an idea. Like, I've always gone with the notion that advice I've been given before to shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. You're getting your fresh in the fruits and veggies, you're getting your meats in the back, you're getting your dairy on the other side, at least at my grocery store. But take me with you when you talk about the fiber, the healthy fats. What was the third one?
Protein.
Your protein, of course. What kinds of things are on your grocery list, and what do you tell your clients?
Yeah. So I always like to have 4 to 5 6 different produce. So fresh, try to change up the colors as well. So add in a lot of colors in there.
Mhm.
So also you're not overwhelmed with like all these groceries, all this produce that may go bad. Just really just be honest with yourself. Like, what is it that I'm going to eat? What do I love? Maybe even try a new vegetable or fruit if, once a month. It doesn't have to be something that you do on a weekly basis. Just really simplify it for yourself. That's number one. So fiber. Fiber is your fresh produce, beans, legumes, lentils. So these are really like pantry staples. So making sure that we have a lot of pantry staples as well for those days that I really don't, just quick, easy, throw together meals. Beans, I could just add it to my salad, and I've added protein and extra fiber. So, and olive oil is your healthy fat. So it's really that, just kind of mixing and matching.
Yeah.
All you do is, you look at your salad. Okay, what do I have in here? I have my veggies. That's my fiber. Where's my protein? It could be your chicken, your salmon, whatever it is, shrimp, just making sure that it's in there. And if you don't like meat-based protein, there's a lot of plant-based protein. Like I said, your nuts and your beans. So those are also beans are also high fiber and high protein. So a lot of our foods also they have different nutrients in them. So it's not just protein. It's not just fiber, right? So just that's another learning curve sometimes for my clients, is learning what foods provide what nutrients. But once you do that, it's really becomes super easy to identify what may be missing in the meal, and really making that meal voluptuous with like, adding in all the fruits, all the veggies, and things like that. So yeah, going back to your question, I feel like this is such a subject. Like, I love talking about it, and I could talk about it all day long. So I seem to get off on tangents. So perimeter, yes, I agree with that. Also, not being scared to add in some of your favorite dessert items here and there, so you're not feeling restricted, right? So you're not feeling like, I'm not allowed to have this, or I don't want to have it in the house, because that also feeds into our, unhealthy relationship with food. And we want to try to break that down. We want to neutralize those foods that we once thought are not good for us. Yes, they are not as nourishing for us maybe, but it's okay to have them every once in a while. Making sure that we have enough protein. So again, it could be your animal-based proteins or your plant-based proteins, beans, lentils, just really simple things that you can just add into your day-to-day. Those ones I like to prep ahead of time. So I keep them in a container in the house, in a Tupperware. So I might cook out some lentils and use them in my salads throughout the week.
Perfect.
So, and it takes 15 minutes I don't even do anything, just kind of how you do your rice, same things, just kind of add water, lentils, let them soften, tenderize, and then just add them into your salads throughout the week.
Yeah. And if you're doing one thing, my mom has taught me so much in the kitchen, but browning some ground beef, adding in some corn and beans, and then just keeping it in the refrigerator and making tacos one day, making a salad the next day, but it's just the base that you can use in many different ways.
Exactly. And I think we overcomplicate in our heads, right? We feel like
we do.
We feel like it's a lot more than what it actually is, but it just takes those extra few steps of prepping it, and your future self will thank you, right? If that's the goal that you're working towards, then, what would my future self want from me today? Like, what does that person want me to do today? So that way next week I am I've at least taken some steps towards my long-term goal. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your social media really quick, because I have found in TikTok and Instagram, like, I know a lot of people listening are like, oh, it's so consuming and I get sucked in, but I follow you and several others that give me inspiration, where it's not the goofy stuff that's out there, which we know that's there, but it's like ideas and your recipes. And I have learned so much from that. So talk to me about what you do there and how you help people.
Oh, thank you so much. So I love to give simple recipes because I'm on myself. So whatever, I'm a mom, and I also don't love cooking. Like, I don't love to be in the kitchen a long time. So all the meals I use are very simple ingredients, very quick. I don't think I make anything that's more than like 20 minutes. So everything is super
perfect.
Quick,
yeah.
and nourishing, and, require a few ingredients. So I know I'm not the only one in that boat. So I try to help my audience with that. So providing recipes, motivation, mindset mindset hacks, things like that, that I see again in my one-on-one clients. And I kind of translate them over to my social media. So, it can feel overwhelming, but knowing also who to follow is very important, and
100%. Yes.
And kind of unfollowing those accounts that trigger you or that don't feel inspiring, but they feel like you're not doing enough, right? I think we all know what kind of accounts I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You feel like it's a different level and it's just unattainable, and it's just not doing anything for us.
It's changed though in the last few years, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people. Like, we choose who our friends are, we choose the people we're around, we choose the food we eat, we get to choose what we consume. And if I'm consuming great recipes and great ideas, you give me inspiration, follow those people and unfollow the people who make you feel bad about yourself.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I love what you do. And I want you to give people more information so they can follow you too and get inspiration and ideas.
Oh, thank you so much. I am on TikTok and Instagram at Mom Nutritionist. I also have a blog that I write weekly on. I also share recipes, mindset hacks, everything under the sun on my website. It's Ayat Sleymann RD.com. RD is Registered Dietitian. And those are my social media accounts.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us, giving us tips today. Best of luck, everybody out there who's trying to drop some weight. If that's your goal, not for everybody, but if it is, I really appreciate the tips that you gave us. So take care and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Natalie Tysdal podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietysdal.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.